In Activity 2, Planting Day, students first plant a selection of objects to see whether they will grow or not. The students then watch the plants grow and decide which of the objects were definitely seeds. From the kit, you will need Activity Sheet 2, Part A, Activity Sheet 2, Part B, planter cups, magnifiers, fluted planter trays, garden map chart, bag of copper pellets, 9-ounce plastic cups, bag of gravel, seed packages corn, marigold, morning glory, mung beans, nasturtium, pea, pinto bean, radish, ryegrass, sunflower, roll of masking tape, roll of transparent tape, tongue depressors, plastic trays, bag of vermiculite, water sprinklers, garden box, plastic sheets, and bags of potting soil. You will also need to provide 4-quart containers, felt tip marker, paper towels, and tap water. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 2, Part A for each student. Hang the garden map chart where all students can see it. Prepare the class garden by lining the garden box with one of the sheets of plastic and taping the edges down around the outside with masking tape. Fill the box with potting soil to within 5 centimeters of the top. If the soil is very dry, moisten it slightly. Avoid overwatering the garden since there is no provision for drainage. Place 1 bag of potting soil in each of 3 4-quart containers. Fill the water sprinklers and make sure to have extra water available. Empty the seeds packets onto plastic trays, each kind of seed on its own tray. Prepare 3 more trays, 1 each for gravel, vermiculite, and copper pellets. Place the objects students brought in on another separate tray. For each team, place 4 each of the corn, pea, sunflower, and pinto bean seeds in a 9-ounce plastic cup. Fill 8 planter cups with soil. Plant 4 cups with 3 pinto bean seeds and 4 cups with 3 corn seeds for use in Activity 12. Plant seeds about 1/2 inch deep. You may want to plant extra seeds to replace any student seeds that fail to sprout. Each team of 4 will need 4 planter cups, 2 planter trays, 4 pieces of masking tape, 4 pieces of transparent tape, a cup of seeds, and a water sprinkler full of water. Make sure students have access to the potting soil and extra water as needed. To begin the activity, return students copies of Activity Sheet 1 and remind them that they determined which objects were seeds and which were not. Explain to students that soil is the material that grass, trees, and flowers grow in, and that when we plant something, we put it in soil so it can grow. Introduce the term garden to the class as a place where many different seeds are growing into plants. Next, show students the class garden box and the trays of items that you have prepared. Tell students they are going to plant a class garden with these different objects to discover which ones are seeds that can grow into plants. Have students help you count the number of different items they need to plant and then divide the garden into that number of plots. Demonstrate all of the planting procedures that the students will do themselves. First, show them the water sprinklers and how to use them. From one of the 4-quart containers, scoop up potting soil with the planter cup. Place it in one of the planter trays, moisten the soil with the sprinkler. Call students' attention again to the class garden. Demonstrate how to plant different kinds of items, describing each step in the process. Make sure students know that larger seeds should be planted about 1 centimeter deep in the soil, and smaller seeds need only be covered with soil. Distribute the materials and ask each student to write his or her name on a piece of masking tape and place it on a cup. Call up one team at a time to plant 1 or 2 items from the trays. Have them use transparent tape to attach a sample of each item to a tongue depressor and label it. Then have them mark off and number the appropriate plot. Finally, have them use the water sprinkler to water the plot. The students not at the class garden should be planting their own cups. Have students fill their cups with potting soil from one of the containers and choose one kind of large seeds in the plastic cup. Tape one of those seeds to the outside of the cup and then plant the other 3 seeds of that kind in the soil. Each team should now have 4 planter cups, 1 each of peas, sunflower, corn, and pinto beans. Distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 2, Part A, to each student and tell them to make drawings of the objects they planted in their planter cups. When students have completed their drawings, ask, how long do you think it will take the seeds to grow? Which seeds do you think will grow first? Accept all reasonable predictions. Place the class garden and the planter cups in a spot in the classroom where they will get light, but also be away from any direct source of heat or cold. Use the remaining 2 plastic sheets to loosely cover them. Repackage any leftover materials and return them to the kit. Remember to leave the garden map chart posted. Make sure to check the garden and planter cups every day, adding water with the water sprinklers as necessary to keep the soil damp but not too wet. After plants begin to appear in about 3 to 5 days, begin observation sessions. Every day or two, have students observe the class garden and their planter cups to see if they notice any changes. When plants begin to emerge in the class garden, have students help you write the date in the appropriate plot on the garden map chart. To prepare for Session 2, make a copy of Activity Sheet 2, Part B, for each student. Each team of 4 will need 2 magnifiers and their planter cups. Schedule Session 2 when plants have emerged from most of the planter cups and many plants are growing in the class garden, which should be about 2 to 3 weeks after Session 1. Give each student a copy of Activity Sheet 2, Part B. Distribute 2 magnifiers and the planter trays with planter cups to each team of 4. Tell each student to draw a picture of his or her plant in the picture of the planter cup on the activity sheet. While students are observing and drawing their plants, have one team at a time come up to the class garden to observe the plants in it. When all students have completed their observations, ask, which of the objects that you planted sprouted? Which of the objects are seeds? Which of them are not seeds? Students should be able to say that all the objects that sprouted or grew into plants were seeds. If any of the seeds did not sprout, point them out on the chart and ask, why do you think these seeds did not sprout? What could you do to decide whether the objects that did not sprout are really seeds or not? Students should understand objects that did not sprout were either not seeds or were seeds that for some reason did not sprout. Continue the discussion by asking, which plants came up first? How long did they take? Which seeds took the longest to sprout? Refer to the plot numbers and dates on the garden map chart to help students with their answers. Students should have observed that the grass and radishes are usually among the first to emerge. Tell students that it is normal for some seeds to take longer than others to sprout. Next, ask students, do all the plants look alike when they first come out of the ground? Encourage students to look closely at the leaves with their magnifiers and try to describe them in detail. They should notice that all sprouts have green leaves, but that the leaf shapes, sizes, and arrangements vary greatly. The students should also notice that corn and ryegrass send long, thin leaves straight up, while the others open 2 leaves on a single stalk. Allow time for discussion of any other observations or questions students have, and let them know that they will continue to observe and study the plants in future activities. To conclude the activity, maintain the class garden for the remainder of the activities, watering it as needed. Return the planter cups and trays to their place in the classroom for use in upcoming activities. Replace the magnifiers in the kit and remember to leave the garden map chart posted. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science readers, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.